I think that Hershey Felder is a masterful dramatist.
I agree.
Maybe masterful, some people would. Whatever, I don't care if you agree with me or not. There we go.
All right.
Welcome to Classical
Rebellion.
Yes.
Oh, it's 2.
Yeah, and we never introduce ourselves because it's not about us.
Who cares?
It's about the arts.
Yeah.
The arts this time, usually it's about classical music and opera, and this time it's about...
Chopin. It's not about Hershey Felder.
It's true, it's about Chopin.
It was. And I thought that...
So Chopin by Hershey Felder
Right.
is playing at San Diego Repertory Theater through October 6th in downtown San Diego, the wonderful Lyceum Theater in Horton Plaza.
Mm-hmm. And I've been to Lyceum several times, and I've never seen it so packed.
It was full. I liked the show.
I love the show. I
loved it too.
I said to my class...
I said like, but I meant love.
I loved it. I told my class today at Mesa College, you have to go see this. Whether you're a music major, whether you're a pianist, it doesn't matter. If you love music, if you're even curious about music, go see this show.
Yeah.
It makes relevant classical music. It makes relevant piano music. If you don't even know who Chopin is, it makes you want to know. It's an incredible presentation of some of the finest piano music, I think, written in the 19th century.
You're not the only one who thinks it's... Some would say the finest piano music written ever, not just in the 19th century.
Yeah, I don't want to go that far because
Okay.
I'm not that kind of pianist, and I know pianists who would disagree.
Okay.
But I grew up playing piano-ish. I played some of those polonaises in high school and the preludes and waltzes in college, and I've always found it incredibly honest and emotional and just music I want to listen to.
Right.
And even though I learned about Chopin in books, I never really put it together with his music. I never tied together the death of his sister or his life in Warsaw or moving to Stuttgart or his relationship with George Sand or any of that with the music. And that's what Hershey Felder does. He makes it relevant to life.
Yeah. So the danger, in my opinion, with this approach that Hershey Felder takes is that it'll decay into a jukebox musical.
Which I hate.
Yes.
Well, I've seen a couple that I do like.
Yeah. So a jukebox musical would be something like Mamma Mia. That would be the most famous one. So so that Chopin's music is just kind of doing this narrative. That's the danger. However, I think that Hershey Felder is a masterful dramatist.
I agree.
Maybe masterful, some people would. Whatever, I don't care if you agree with me or not. There were moments in the show where I got a little...
You were moved.
Yes.
And when he's moved, it's moving. It's powerful.
It is, yeah. I'm pretty easy, though.
No. Okay, I went with you to a show recently that I was moved by, and he walked out at intermission. We won't name what it is.
We won't.
But
I could not handle it.
You may be moved easily, but you're also moved easily in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's true. I'm easily moved. Positive and negative, maybe.
I'll give you that. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, just some... I recognize a lot of Chopin's music, but I can't name it. The only two pieces I can actually name from that show were the second movement of the second piano concerto, which was one of those moments where I was a little bit...
brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
a little... First of all, there's just a moment in there where Chopin just crushes your heart. And it's so subtle. It's just like the velvet iron fists crushing your heart with this gentlest, most loving way possible, I guess.
That's a great metaphor. I agree.
And then I recognize the military polonaise, which I love. Yeah, love it. Those are the only two pieces of Chopin I can actually name from the show. I recognized a ton of it.
But you knew a lot of them.
I recognize it, but I can't give you the names of Chopin's music like I can other composers. He's been kind of an enigma to me, but this show opened that up. Now, you as a pianist, I'm not a pianist at all.
Pianist.
You as someone who plays the piano.
Someone who appreciates piano. Who loves to sit at the piano.
Yes.
And attempt Chopin. That's what I am.
Yes. I like to sit at the piano and take pictures.
And he's very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hershey Felder's show opened me up to Chopin in a different way. Like I really, like you were saying, I mean, I've watched Garrick Olson's 1.5 hour long Berkeley lecture about Chopin and what he does with the problem of the sound of the piano decays right away, and the ring finger being, it can't move like the other fingers. I don't know if you can see that or not. No. And Schumann there's all these devices to try to loosen the tendons up and make this, and the way that Chopin kind of works around that in a way that makes you hear things that actually aren't happening. It's a masterful video, but it's very dry and it's a lecture. And I kind of got the same quality out of this dramatic, moving, funny show by Hershey Felder.
Yeah, I agree. So it was educational?
Yep. Well, it was moving. It was entertaining first.
Okay.
It was entertaining first. It went by quickly. There was no intermission.
And what was it, 90 minutes?
It ended up being 22 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought 90 minutes.
No.
And I thought even that would have been
so when a show
stretch.
When a show moves like that,
2 hours.
It's entertaining. You're being entertained.
Yeah.
Right? You're engrossed in the story. And that's why I think he's a masterful dramatist, at least in this instance. I've only seen two other of his shows, the great Tchaikovsky and then Leonard Bernstein. Stein.
What'd you think?
Oh, I love the other two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, embarrassingly enough, this is kind of like my...
That's right. This is your first one.
It's like my mainly Mozart event. I can't believe I've seen Hershey Felder on headlines for as long as I've been in San Diego, and I've thought, oh wow, that looks interesting, and I've never gone until this time. It's like my mainly Mozart, greatest orchestra in North America in the month of June, and I didn't go until 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Same thing with Hershey Felder. I'm really embarrassed to say, as a musician, someone who loves the arts, I missed this incredible opportunity. Now, maybe this is the best thing he's ever done, but it's good enough that I want to go see everything that he has done.
Yeah.
It really tied together all of those pieces of music history and technique at the piano. It tied together his life and his music in a way that made it so much more real and thoughtful.
Yeah. And a very real actual music lesson as well. When he was going through and he's like, and these sentences end here and here
to there,
and kind of guiding you through the musical grammar and vocabulary of Chopin. And then he always hits the wrong note.
Oh, right. Right. I mean, I think those are things that pianists would take for granted, that you're accenting notes, that the non-diatonic note in a piece, or that you're emphasizing beat 2 instead of beat 1 in a waltz. Or in the mazurkas, it was always beat 2 or beat 3. It was never beat 1. Things that most musicians or pianists would take for granted. That absolutely is very enlightening. For the audience.
I had no idea what a mazurka was.
Yeah. Okay.
I've heard them, but I didn't know the rhythmic integrity of the dance.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's where, I feel. So he actually took questions throughout the show. Yeah.
So a lot of not a lot, but there were definitely moments of the show that were improvisatory.
Yes. And I'm sure he had certain things he wanted to make sure came through in the story in those questioning times. I would assume. Right. I don't know.
He may answer all the questions the same way, but it appears improvisatory because he takes questions from the audience.
Yeah. But he answers them as Chopin.
Right.
And what I did want to... You mentioned Chopin's songs as being uninspired. We wanted to kind of go, not negative, but like, hey, what about he was supposed to be an opera composer. That was the big hope, that he would write Poland's great national opera, and he never even came close. It kept being put off by circumstances.
Right. I mean, in Hershey Felder, as Chopin, he talks about the pianist should sing as a singer. He should make the piano sing. And he was in love with singers, and he loved opera, but he never wrote an opera. And he only wrote 19 songs, all on Polish text, which is great. But the songs, to me as a singer, do you know them?
I don't.
Okay, so if he doesn't know them, that says a lot.
Right.
Because you know them.
I know a lot of songs.
You know a lot of songs, and a lot of opera, more than I do, probably. They're just uninspired. They sound like 19th century hymns.
Oh, that's an excellent way to put it. Now I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're just...
I don't know that very many other people.
I mean, I have students sing all types of literature, but I just can't bring myself to have people sing the Chopin songs because there's just not much there.
His gift was the piano.
It really was. And he did make it sing. He was known, this is something that Hershey Felder didn't mention, but Chopin was known as the poet of the piano. And he really was. He was poetic in the way he played his technique, which he
definitely expounded upon Chopin's technique.
He mentioned, I mean, several times that Chopin, Liszt considered him the greatest pianist of the day.
Yeah. Liszt was a tricky bastard, though. He had no problems with Schumann or Mendelssohn. He loved what they were doing.
But they didn't.
But they hated him, and they hated his Philistine ways and like his... So it's almost like he knew he was set and he was being magnanimous, just kind of to poke people.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
I think he had it nailed the game. I think Liszt knew how to play the game. Pure conjecture. No scholarly research done whatsoever.
But it seems like that.
Yeah, it seems that
Circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
Point. Yeah. It was so well played.
Yeah.
It was well thought out. It was well written, and he executed it brilliantly, I thought.
And the language ability, his accents...
Oh yeah, I mean to pronounce Polish. I mean, I don't know Polish, but it sounded authentic.
It did. I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. He's a very smart man.
Yeah, and the French accent was hilarious. Of the
Duke. Of the Duke, right?
Yeah.
The Baron.
Yeah, the Baron. That's right. The Baron.
Oh yeah, you should go. I'll try to go again. If you love music,
I've told everyone I know that they need to go.
I have too. Regardless,
and we're telling you now via the internet.
And I don't know if the Rep does student tickets.
I have no idea.
But it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Students.
Right. I don't think they're very expensive to begin with. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. Tickets start at $65.
But okay, so
that's a little much for students.
I think you can get student tickets though for $20. I think. I don't think it's. I think you have to dig around on the internet to find how to get them, but I think they're there.
Let's talk.
Or call the box office.
Yeah. Let's talk just a little bit about. So some people might be balking at the $65 ticket price.
That's a lot.
Right? For some people it is. For others it's not.
Oh right.
But
true. For the people in that crowd on Saturday,
on opening night, no,
it was not.
Yeah.
A big deal.
Right. But what you're getting. Okay, so yes, you could go see 3 movies for $65.
Really?
You know what's not at a movie? A buzz in the room.
That's true.
There's not.
And that's part of it. That's part of an artistic experience. The venue.
The movie is the same every single time. You can memorize the lines. They're always said with the same rhythm and intonation and inflections. The movie is the movie. What happens in the theater is the theater that night only.
It's true.
It's called Ichigo Ichie. Something that Chelobadake, the conductor, was big on, and it comes from the Japanese tea ceremony, and it means one time, one opportunity.
Oh.
So this tea ceremony that's being presented to you will never be presented to anyone else in the same way again. And so you're to put your focus and attention on this once in a lifetime event. And that's what live theater is. And that's why you pay a premium to go to it. And because the movie is the same every single time.
That's true.
Every time.
Yeah.
You know as a performer, I know as a performer, and Hershey Felder knows as a performer, not that we're on his level, but that it's different from night to night. Some nights the stars align, like it did mainly Mozart for the Beethoven Violin Concerto. You were in Vietnam. Unbelievable. Other nights, it's still brilliant, but there's special, something's not there. And that's what you get in theater. You can't put your finger on it, but you can feel it. And everyone leaves with that same, wow, like they can't just believe that happened. Rarely do you leave a movie or another form of entertainment with that feeling.
And if you do, it doesn't last. So we went to see it on Saturday, opening night. Mm-hmm. So
this is Tuesday night.
So 3 nights have passed.
Yeah.
I think about this performance all day long. I thought about it all Sunday, all day Monday, and all day today.
Wow. Yeah, me too.
And I've told everyone that I've come in contact with, go see this show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an impossible thing to measure, or probably I shouldn't even say it. But if you go see this show, you'll be a better person. I don't know how much. I can't be like, you'll improve by 3%. I don't know. But something about the truth and beauty of the show leads to freedom. And the emotional freedom to experience life on your own emotional terms is invaluable. And the arts, especially live arts, will get you there without your permission.
I want to time out.
Yeah.
Because you just said something that's worth repeating. You should memorize this. I'm going to memorize it. The freedom to experience life on your own emotional terms. The freedom to experience life on your own emotional terms. That's brilliant.
Thanks.
That's amazing. That's why we do theater.
What the
That's
arts
why we do art.
are for.
Right.
And do you know who taught that to me?
Who?
My daughter.
Oh. Out of the mouth of the babes.
So we went to see Great Scott, an opera I loved.
Loved it. One of the best things I've ever seen at San Diego Opera.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Went twice. Yeah. Amazing opera.
Sorry to get off on a tangent here, but here's the story. So there's Emma, my daughter, was in 6th grade, and she was going through the beginning of teenage drama with the other girls in her class, but there's no changing classes. It's just you're in that class with those people all day, and it was really starting to wear on her. And, she was very emotionally in tune and was struggling. And so we go to see Great Scott, and there's a scene where she's actually singing to the mirror, or through the mirror to the audience, but this having to talk to herself in the mirror. And on the way home, Emma says, remember that part where the character was singing in the mirror? I said, yeah, I remember. Well, when she was singing that, I just felt like all the things at school didn't really matter. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. That's why you go to performance like Hershey, Felder in Chopin, because it immediately contextualizes your circumstances, your emotional circumstances, without you having to do the work. You sit there. That's your job. Sit there and go like this. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And then you clap at the end.
It's right.
It's incredible.
Well, I mean, you're engaging. I think that's part of the magic of theater that you as an audience member are engaging in the process. Yeah. He feels that.
He absolutely feels the
right
audience.
Back to you. Yeah. And the more you give it to him, the more he gives it back to you.
Yeah. That's the other thing that doesn't happen
in a movie. It doesn't matter who's in the audience. The same thing is going to happen on the screen every time.
Yeah.
One of the things that you hit on about that emotional freedom and about experiencing it, letting the art do the work for you, is the more specific the art is to itself, the more universal it is, or the more it translates to the audience. Well, because he was so specific about the death of his sister and the emotions that brought forth in him, all of the feelings that elicited. The more specific he was about his relationship with George Sand and the relationship with his first fiancée, and the more he delved into the angst of his life, the more we related to it.
True. Yeah.
Have we ever had a relationship with a cross-dressing artist who is the most popular woman in France?
Well,
probably not.
It's
Most of us
more
haven't.
Common.
That's true, and it should be.
Yeah.
But I haven't had that experience yet, but I was right there with him. It highlighted every problem of every relationship I've ever had, because he was so specific with it.
And then the brutality of the breakup. Well, I mean, we're not going to give spoilers. I think you should go see the show.
That's true. You're going to forget this by the show.
But the brutality it is one of the most devastating breakups talk about scorched earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a very artistic way.
And you probably read the story. You probably read that, or you were familiar with it. At least through Garrett Golson's thing. I'm sure he touched on that. I'd read it 1,000 times. I teach this, or I used to my intro to music class. When we would talk about Chopin, I would talk about their relationship with George Sand. It never meant anything to me. I am kind of imagine what that might be like.
Right.
But until you experience him, make it specific, so specific.
Yeah.
And that scorched earth breakup, you don't get the gravity of it. Yeah. You don't get any of the pathos. You don't get any of it. Mm-hmm. But because he made it specific, we came alive.
Yeah.
He did the work for us.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's worth $65. It's worth $165.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. How much do you pay for counseling anyway?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, can you? This is what therapy should be.
This should be therapy.
It is therapy. I've thought about it all the time. I listen to Chopin with new ears.
We need a disclaimer.
I play Chopin. Yeah, I play Chopin with new fingers. So I don't know. I'm no pianist. I love playing piano and I love listening to pianists. So I don't know where Hershey Felder is on the scale of great pianists. But
no one can do what he's doing.
They can't. All the things that he's doing. Yeah. And honestly, as someone who appreciates the music of Chopin and has lived with it for 30, 40 years, my ears were opened to new interpretations of Chopin. The most simple, some of the preludes and waltzes and mazurkas, the way he interpreted those, it was with such fresh fingers. Right. And my ears, I'll never forget it. I was changed just by that musical experience alone. Go to be invigorated by the life of Chopin and infused with his music in a way that you probably never have before.
Mm-hmm. Stop talking about supporting the arts and actually buy a ticket.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
You know how many people I know that talk about supporting the arts and then won't even show up for a free ticket?
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
Classical rebellion.